live and direct via the online broadcasting platform Restream. And I'm joined by none other one of my best friends and confidants, mentors, coaches, everything under the sun. Nice, Monroe. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for having me. This is awesome. Happy to be here on a Sunday afternoon.
Did you go to church?
I did not go to church, but I did meditate.
You meditated. Did
Yes.
you? Do you ever go to online church, live broadcast church?
During the pandy, I did, but not so much nowadays.
Not so much these days.
Not so much these days, although I need to get back.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't done it in a while. I like to go to this one called Elevation, and it's online YouTube church thing, and I just listen and whatnot. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know if I want to, watch here, stick it all the way through, but I've been thinking about it a lot lately. Um, you know, in the creator economy, one of the things that you can do is be a church videographer for free to do all of that. What's up, Luis? World Cup for Argentina. Yeah, we should probably talk about that too. Pretty
Yeah,
crazy.
the boyhood story came true for Messi. So my son was screaming his lungs out earlier.
True.
Super
True.
stoked.
Man, it's crazy because it came down to be like one of the perfect games for a spectator
Hmm.
because it extended all
Yeah,
the way to those penalty
penalties.
kicks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. It's pretty nuts, but yeah. What a crazy phenomenon all of that with all the people that were murked and
Yeah.
all the hoopla around it all. But I
Yes,
guess
sir.
that has to do with sort of opening about this conversation, talking about faith and stuff like that. Man, it's a crazy time. Um, where do you want to start, man? What do you want to talk about first? Which part of the creator economy should we talk about first?
This is kind of funny. So I wrote in Chat GPT, write me 10 topics
Mm-hmm.
about regarding the creative economy, 10 podcast topics.
Mm-hmm.
So we have, and you tell me where you want to start. We can talk about the role of creativity driving economic growth and innovation.
Mm-hmm.
We can start with the role of technology in the creative economy, which I know like you're like a big gearhead, even bigger than me. How the creative economy was impacted by COVID. Nah, I don't want to talk about that. Um, Collaboration and partnerships in the creative economy, globalization on the creative economy, challenges and opportunities facing independent artists and creators. Where would you like to start?
Was that all 10?
No, no, no. Those are just the ones I thought were the juiciest.
The juiciest. Man, I guess we should probably start from the beginning and talk about creativity as it relates to um, economics, or what was it?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Creativity in driving economic growth and innovation.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough right now. It's and those companies that are putting a lot of investment into content creators are the ones that are going to be able to uh, move through this recession the best. You know, a lot of companies will sacrifice their marketing department right now in order to um, maintain status quo, maintain financial stability, maintain whatever they hold truly valuable to them. But the long game is, I think, where this component of creativity impacts the economics of business. So, um, what do you think?
Sorry, my kids are being really loud and it's bothering me. Um, I don't think businesses can afford to kill their marketing right now.
Mhm.
Unless their organic game is on point.
Mhm.
But as someone who has been inside the inner circle of a few businesses and startups and companies not putting too much ad spend in their brand, um, there's also a use for us creatively when it comes to building internal resources, not just creating marketing assets, right? You can use video services, graphic design services, anything under the umbrella of the creator economy to help a business scale inside as well. Whether if you're creating um, content that requires instructional design, content that requires these assets for onboarding, for training purposes, like they still need guys like us, people like us,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So I think whether if it's for external assets or inbound sort of assets, um, I don't think there's a reason why they should just kill us. To be clear, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, that one's really tough because I think that a lot of businesses are their priorities right now are top of the funnel sales, right? So they're there are a lot of companies that are not thinking about how can they scale their business from an internal perspective because they just want to because they're in a position where they need to lay off employees or they need to kind of hunker down the capital that they're spending. And what's the trouble is like they'll delegate something like that to like a volunteer or intern or something like that who doesn't have the capabilities of lifting that weight and putting that weight on their shoulders because they just don't have the reps in the gym. And then they get frustrated, and then unfortunately, at the end of the day, the blame all goes on to that, poor little intern that didn't know, his left from his right foot, and he's just then he's kind of soured, or he or she, I should say, is then soured by the experience of doing an internship as a content marketing department or like internal design department or something like that. So it's tough. The companies that are like super stellar that are hiring and empowering creatives to be pursuing their dreams even through tough times, those folks are gonna come out with the larger brands. They're more focused on brand, I think.
Maybe let me ask you something. Switching gears here, going forward into
Mm.
2023, because this
Mm-hmm.
might be the last pod that we record going into 2023. You and I, maybe. What are your creative goals that you want to hit, and or what is like in some way that this is like a little more Knives Monroe-y, but like in what ways do you want to transform your business going into 2023, or how do you want to be visible or
Yeah.
identified? How do you want, and where do you like, where would you like to be in relation to the creator economy going into 2023, and dream big?
Yeah, I mean, um, some of those things are already set in motion. Um, beginning kind of ideas that are haven't necessarily come to full fruition because there's so much negotiation that goes into doing projects at scale on an individual level. I think I want to be committed to um, basically telling my story in so much as to say like that I've been able to get inches when I'm on 4th and 1. That got got me a first down, right? So I'm in a position where it's real tight, but I was able to make a little things happen to be able to get another go at you know at the at the at the goal line or at the not always a goal line because a touchdown's a lot of points, right? That's a big win for a lot of folks. I think I take the little wins, um, right now as much as I can, and so that could be in the form of, getting the ability to do at least one podcast a week into 2023, where that content can be spliced up, and then I can continue to create the content that is building my personal brand. You know, I've tried that before. I know you've done that before, and we struggle. At least I have struggled to stay consistent with that, and I feel like all content creators at some level struggle to stay consistent with any sort of um, religious content creation or routine content creation. So I do want to um, get to that point on a personal level. On a larger scale, I would like to do some form of event that then leads to um, post produced content that is a social validator for doing other larger scale projects. And it's interesting, you know, when it comes to like the art, and this is where, I hold art on a pedestal in a way. I don't I struggle to see the me forming real creative art within the next 5 years, because I don't have the um I don't I don't think that I have accumulated enough of that. um I don't know what to call it right now, but I haven't accumulated enough of whatever it is to be able to say like that my art deserves a space at Art Basel or Sundance Film Festival or any of these places where it will get some recognition as an artist. The internet's the internet, and the internet be internet, and so I'll continue to try to do whatever little art I can do online, and maybe AI is a component of that in 2023. To using AI as a paintbrush for um, some more artistic projects. I saw Google had put out something this year where like you can type basically a scene and then AI creates this giraffe in a zoo, and I think in the next year and a half it'll be solid enough to where it's like you can't pretty much tell the difference between it in a video game, and so I see that potentially being a thing. Today it can't, right now I say it can't be a thing, but maybe next year it could be a thing.
Man, I was meditating about this this morning. It's 30 degrees when I woke up, but I went out there and I was walking and thinking, and I think about the same shit. And some of my goals for next year are the same goals I've had for the past 10 years. And I think the best way for me to sort of change those goals in a way that's maybe more compelling, same mission, different focus, is instead of saying something like, I want 100,000 subscribers on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
instead of saying that, I want to say, I want to be the type of person that has 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. That to me is more compelling. Like, what does that person's schedule look like? What does their day to day look like? What kind of work are they putting in? Like, that's the stuff that I'm thinking about moving forward. Um, and I know those answers conceptually, but I need to find the reality in the practice, in the doing, in the grind. Roll my fucking eyes, but in the grind of doing things, I need to find those habits, those routines, those patterns. That's really going to be the difference in your average street basketball player and a Kobe, you know. And before I die, I want to try my best. I want to put it all on the line and say I really fucking tried. Maybe I didn't get to where I wanted, but it wasn't for a lack of trying. But I'm tired of holding myself back. That's the one thing. Like when it comes to we're both in the same position of trying to grow and scale a business. I think we approach it differently and we have different philosophies, but we're still like these one man bands, you know, trying to operate this big machine. And I'm just tired of living in the theoretical. Personally, I'm very frustrated
Mm,
about it. Yeah.
mm. Yeah, it's very, spirituality, I think, is where this comes down to, because I was watching a podcast. I forgot. It's just like some brand new podcast that I'm listening to, and what they essentially said, that the technology that the ancient, Egyptians had, the, Nikola Teslas of the world, was comparable to the technology that we have today, just not packaged in uh, the same way. And because of, you know, global catastrophe, which we are facing constantly, their civilizations were wiped to the pure essence, the dirt of it all, and so like that component of what you're talking about when it comes to, I you know the fakeness of it, and versus the realness of it, like the real accomplishments of what is the hustle and the grind. Shout out Terrence Howard, to be able to actually uh, uh, collect 100,000 followers versus go to, some marketplace that'll sell you the 100,000, and you just you're at the what do they say about this, vanity numbers of it all. So you can be in the 100,000 subscriber club if you just bought it, right? But if you're putting in the hard work, right? And who has, I don't know, who has actually put in the hard work other than a Mr. Beast, I guess. Maybe he's bought followers before, maybe he's bought subscribers before, I don't know. He's accomplished it through what we would like to say is hard work, because he's basically taken all the money that he's made from Google AdSense and reinvested it into his production, which has allowed him to do bigger and bigger productions. And what's crazy about that is there are productions that he's done that haven't even seen the light of day. But
What's more
he's
interesting, what's more interesting is Mr. Beast has cracked the formula, cracked the code, and has given that to other creators, and then they've went on and had really good success.
mm,
That stuff, whatever that is, it's more interesting to me than like Mr. Beast out topping himself. I mean, he's the alpha, like that's
mm-hmm,
fucking great. He's gonna grow. That's awesome. But I like the stuff that works in practice, that is applicable, that I can do to get a modicum of success. And I don't want to, I'm not praying for 100 million subscribers. I don't
mm-hmm,
even pray. I don't think it's going to impact my happiness level between 1 million and 2 million subscribers. Like, I don't think it's going to impact it, but I want to know the codes, and I want to do the work required to get that. And I think you have to be very hungry, hungrier than other people to tap into that. And that's I'm getting hungry. I'm getting bloodthirsty. I feel like I'm growing vampire fangs.
mm-hmm,
I want to drink blood, you know?
mm-hmm.
And I haven't tapped into that in at least 5 years.
Mm.
And I think that's like the first step, mindset wise, into acquiring these things for me.
Yeah. So yeah. Hmm. How do I put this together? So it's I'm going to say something that might be controversial here, but a lot of content creators, even myself, have been duped by the artificial GMO vegan burgers that are out there, that you're so hungry you'll take anything, even nothing, no nutrients, nothing, and then you know you be that as it may. At the end of the day, it's like I know I've gained experience, and I know that I have value in what I can do, whether that be art for myself or content for a business,
Mm-hmm.
and then, but regardless of any of that, I still, and this might be true for you, still get people coming to me asking me to do free work, and not only just free work, but work that may or may not come to fruition. And if it does come to fruition, whether or not they'll honor their agreement to the contract, but free work on the backs of nothing happens and you're in a 6 month non compete. That's indentured servitude. That's sharecropping. Now, it's a different thing if someone like you or someone like me goes to another content creator and says, "Hey, I have a project, I have a budget, I have everything together. Um, let me do a net 15 with you on the budget so I can float the money until we're through the production, and then at the end of the day, I'll pay you a fraction of the overall budget, right?" That's different than, "Hey, go create content for us, um, you know, out of the blue with no direction, and then at the end of the day, we'll decide whether we're going to give you your 15%, whether we'll honor that contract." And then you ask them, "Okay, well, what systems do you have to honor that contract? Oh, you want to do it manually? You want me to come to your mail room and pick up a check? Oh, wait, there's no check here. All right, then just Venmo me."
Mm-hmm.
So that's the plight that the content creator faces.
Yeah, but and I get that too. I get that too, and it comes in different forms. I get that with like, hey, read my script, and a part of me wants to be like, you have no idea what you're asking. That's so much to ask. It takes a lot of my psychic energy, but also read it for what? Most people just want a pat on the back, and that's like a little insulting, And that's not the same thing as like this net 50 or net 50, everything that you're saying, basically indentured servitude. No, it's not the same thing. But like, I get I get people putting their hooks in me all the time. I really brush it off. I think I've gotten a lot better at brushing it off and siphoning through what is good for me, healthy for me, or not. But I don't. I just want to make something clear. When I was talking about hunger, and you would use the analogy that you'll be so hungry you'll eat garbage. Um, for me, it's more about I want to be so hungry I will make anything, not
Mm-hmm.
take anything.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're coming from producing versus
Yeah.
consumption, when you're coming from offering versus taking,
Mm-hmm.
I think that hunger can better suit you.
Yeah. I don't think that that's the norm whatsoever. I think it's the microwave era. It's the we're so this is what Gary V says, is that we're so lazy we'll have someone else cook it, someone else deliver it, and you know utilize plastic forks, plastic paper plates, throw it away, don't recycle it. Like our our um, our morals and values and the things that we uh, we want are not aligned, or even if they, not even what we want, but what we need, like from like a more of a like a human perspective of it all. But you know, Yeah, I definitely, I always take it down the business route. I don't take it toward the art route that often because, like I said, I don't see myself creating anything meaningful in the art world for the next 5 years, and I might even have to push that out another 10 years because I can't, I am not confident enough in myself right now, if as far as art goes, to bewilder anyone, pull the wool over anybody's eyes, to where that they can kind of just, true good art will take you out of your body into a world outside of this universe. It takes you into, it either gives you a feeling of love or some form of emotion that is tied to the art, or it literally takes you to another world where
I think
you're
good business
experiencing
can do
something
that as
different.
well. Good business, good product can do that as well. I mean, there's something about, and fill in the space here for any sort of product that you've ever made or bought, but
Snuggie,
the Snuggie, the iPhone,
the
the
iPhone
new
for
pair
sure.
of shoes, the new headphones that you bought that you waited X amount of weeks for in the mail for. There's
Yeah.
something about like, and I know it's like consumption, buy something, obey. Like I'm not trying to say that, but when you're the creator of that product, you get to make someone's birthday present, and that's
Mhm.
pretty
Mhm.
amazing.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, just as fulfilling as art, I think. No one wants to have that conversation, but I think good business is just as fulfilling as good art.
Yeah. I
As
definitely agree with that.
coming from a producer's point of view.
So since you take it that direction, I'm definitely going with liberties with this one just to discuss something.
Sure.
Pet rock, chia pet,
Yes. Sure.
NFTs.
Uh-huh.
Trump's NFT project that just released.
Okay.
These things
We're in a
are
fucked
like
up time right now.
tools.
We're in a fucked up time right now where and the Trump example is a great example of this. We're in a fucked up time where these are Ponzi schemes, right?
Ponzi schemes, FTX.
Yeah. Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. I don't have much to say about it other than um, my hat tip to those who saw this a mile away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it wasn't so
Hmm.
clear for me.
Hmm.
I have friends that are super duper into the crypto world, the NFT
Mm-hmm.
world,
Mm-hmm.
and who are doing good business out of it. Um, but it still exists in a capitalistic framework,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's there's a supply and a demand, there's a mark, and then there's the carney.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some people like Trump are a desperate need for income
Mm.
and will create an ass product like he's done notoriously in the past. Um, a flash in the pan, just capitalizing on a moment, which is kind of a day late and a buck short. If Trump did this, I understand he was president, but if he did this like Q1 2021, it would have been more
Mm-hmm.
interesting. But
Oh wow, wild.
yeah,
Just to even think of that, wild, wild.
yeah.
Hmm.
I still believe in crypto. I still believe in NFTs. I love the idea of smart contracts, and I love
Mm-hmm.
the blockchain. Like it's this future proof concept of digitizing information, So I still appreciate it. And these are conversations that, I can't have with some friends. They're just way too ignorant about this. But when you think about the internet in and of itself, like
Mm-hmm.
this is email all over again, you know? But how many scams came from the advent of email?
Mm-hmm.
Probably 50% of all moving traffic was a scam, if maybe more, maybe higher. So this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen. It's inevitable.
So both you and I are now subscribers to Twitter Blue, and um, that
For now.
for now, true.
If
For
they
for
take
now,
away my blue check mark, I'm going back.
you think it's that like trivial that it comes down to the blue check mark? You don't think that
For
they
me
will
for
come
me it
with
does.
features?
I've been a blue subscriber for over a year. And
Mm-hmm.
I like you know this. When you post something, it's like, hey, are you sure you want to post this?
Mm-hmm.
I like that feature. But I don't need to pay for that feature. I liked it because of the ads, and I liked it because of the articles, and being able to delete tweets or like edit tweets. Um, but with the advent of the blue check mark, I love that. I was thinking Instagram was going to do that too, and be like 19.99 a month, and you get a blue check mark on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck yeah,
Mm-hmm.
fuck yeah, that would have been cool. But
It does, yeah. It does
yeah, go
take
ahead.
a chunk out of the business of those people who are selling subscribers, selling followers, because
Sure.
one of the big reasons why people bought followers or bought subscribers
Which
was
which
for
I've
the
done. I want your listeners to
yeah,
know.
but well, right, but I think like hmm, yeah, I don't
I did,
know.
and I just so your listeners know, I purchased a from a friend an Instagram that had at the time, I don't know, 30,000 followers or whatever, and I bought it and rebranded it completely. What's the word? What do they call it when it comes to houses?
Refreshing, remodeling.
Remodeled it, refurbished it, flipped it, and lost 10,000 followers in the process. It's pretty cool to like lose 10,000 followers. It's really interesting when you rebrand something, remodel something. But I did it, and it's afforded me a lot in the optics sense. So, best believe if I could have bought a blue check mark, I would have too.
Hmm. Do you think that okay, do you think that the so I'm just struggling with this right now is that if you had more eyeballs, do you think you would be releasing more free content?
Absolutely.
Do you reserve anything because of the fact that you don't have the
Absolutely.
attention? That's how I feel right now.
Which is not
I
the
feel
that comes from a scarcity mindset. Just hearing that out loud, framed that way, like
yeah,
holding back. I made a piece of content this TikTok that said, "Hold back for what?
yeah,
Hold back for what?" And I need to really live that. It's one thing to say it
right.
and to put it out there, but it's another thing to live it. Hold back for what? Like that's why I said I want to conduct myself
Hmm.
as if I already have 100,000 followers, and the type of person that you need to be to not just do that, but to maintain it. It's it's easy to get to the top. It's hard to maintain it.
Well, that's why you pay $150 million or whatever it is to get a consulting session for an hour from Mr. Beast. Because he has those eyeballs. He knows what their questions are, and he knows how to facilitate whatever content that they're yearning for, or maybe not need or want, but yearning for it. And so the question ends up being when you have zero, like I do. Not I don't have zero. I have like a whole lot more manual, um, you know, input, whether that be from family, friends, acquaintances, the person
That I
walking
don't
down the
have.
street.
That I don't have.
What do you mean? What are you
I don't
talking about?
have that circle of people. Um, like I don't have outside of you. I don't have a friend that's gonna tell me, "Here's what you should do with your YouTube channel." I don't have that. I really like
Mm,
this video that you
yeah.
posted. I don't have that. I,
Right.
I I
Right.
exist in an island, like with in real life. You know.
In
Sorry.
real life. What I get is more of like what I shouldn't be doing, not what I should be doing, or what I should be doing, but in like an old archetype, or like an older generation of information that just doesn't isn't applicable in today's digital age. It's like It's
You
so
should post
interesting.
flyers, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like what's that gonna do for you?
Yeah,
Like, unless you're a part of some cult that's local, you know, like you're a part of some sort
sure.
of local cult, which I started, Austin Live and Local was intended to be like a local cult, right? Everyone's in it to make Austin better or make Austin great again. Or
Sure.
I don't know that. I'm just joking, but um, you know, I think that this is where that creator component is like, what about the artist economy, right? What about the economy of art? Like, that's how is it getting any better? I mean, NFTs didn't do it. I mean,
Well,
like,
when would you know that it's better?
I think that better
I
means
think it's
that
never
there's like
been
a,
better.
well, I don't particularly like
I think we're in a
the
renaissance right now.
really. I just don't like
Yes.
it. I don't like it. I don't like it because it's so um there's an exclusivity to all of it to a degree where it's unperceivable, right? So like getting past the gatekeepers of art to even be able to consume it is so extraordinarily difficult.
It's
Like
never been
I'm not
easier
going to
though.
Art Basel,
Think about how
and
difficult
then
it
I'm not.
was 30 years ago.
Well, the thing I think this is where I
We
struggle with
couldn't do
where.
what we're doing right now
Well,
30
yeah, but
years
this, I'm
ago.
talking about high art. I'm talking about the I'm talking about like the
Well,
Banksies. I never seen a
here's what I
Banksy
heard
in real life.
when you had said the art economy. What I instantly thought of without meaning
Was
to
macroeconomy.
was um how do you say it? The lower art class,
Oh, like the middle class artist.
but like the lower class too. It's never been better for the lower and middle class of artists. It's never been better.
I've thought about that, and then I've thought like the problem with
I
the
have the exact
underground.
opposite. I have the exact
Un,
opposite reaction as you. Like I go on TikTok and I see all these beautiful, talented people. They all
mm-hmm.
existed. What? So many people out there
Yeah.
that exist with this talent and they're putting their art out there. The
See,
gatekeepers are they're
mm-hmm.
non-existent.
I see what you're saying. It's a different perspective because I always knew they existed. I just wanted to see the best of the best. Like I see underground. There's a no jumper Adam 22, right? He has brought a voice to the underground hip hop scene that had never existed before. And you have to give kudos to a SoundCloud or a distribution system that enables them to be able to be discovered. But at the same point in time, when it comes to the art world, when we're talking about structural design, like true architecture, there's like the Enos. I forgot what the last name is, but the people now that have basically democratized the ability to see the best in architecture via, but it also the problem is for people like myself that come from a low to middle class socioeconomic environment. The This is very problem. I feel this is very problematic. I there is a status quo that restrains the people who don't stick to script. I guess I don't know how to even put this in the right terminology without it like, yeah, this is too tough to deal with right now. But it's just, yes, the ability to create art has gotten much easier and discoverability. But as far as fine art and things that are investment pieces, that has gotten to be very gate kept, and by to the point at which if you don't understand the technology of a blockchain aspect of things, that you're not going to be able to purchase that that artwork, even if you're in. And then if you don't understand the internet, you're not able to go to a Masterworks and purchase, a fractional share of a Van Gogh or Da Vinci's, plans, or any of these things that are true assets that go into a trust that you could then create generational wealth from. Like, it's you have to be there, and being there on the internet is subjective to what the algorithm wants it to be there for you. That's why they're thinking of banning TikTok, because they believe that that's been co-opted because of the fact that in China, Douyu, or whatever it's called, is distributing um, scientific information that is designed to enable cultural advancement, while as in the U.S. it's mostly meme culture and sexualization and police violence, and people's people's ways that they are expressing themselves to be an individualistic, whereas and then there's so many things that go into this aspect of how do you make art, how do you sustain making art in the environment that you're in, and then be visible and be able to kind of like go in and out of society, because society is where you're going to get the attention. But if you're nomadic, you're just going to be on the lay of the land, off the grid, so to speak. And I'm see the thing is I'm coming from a different perspective, because I live out in a rural area, right? And I'm you know I I'm not as much connected into society as you are, because you're in a bedroom community, and you're tapped in with a smaller sub segment of the Austin community, and I'm in a very sub segment of the Austin community, and so I don't know the challenges that are there in the urban environment that are like golden handcuffs that hold underground artists from reaching the top of the pyramid when it comes to the art social class, the artist social class. Well, I do in a degree, because there are social clubs like Soho House and the Austin Club and Capital Factory and these subscription based programs that enable artists to scale from underground to mainstream. And then I'm just gonna end it off with this rant with this conspiracy. Is like, do you have to sell your soul to the devil in order to do the blood oath and get the contract? And then does that enable you then to reach fame and stardom of, so as that there's like a TikTok going around of the Imagine Dragons lead singer or whatever he is, lead DJ, saying, "Oh, I sold my soul to the devil. That's why I've made it to where I'm at today." All of that.
Well, no, I don't think you have to sell your soul um, to make it. But in that rant, like what is what is sorry, I'm like getting all personal. There's two ways
Yeah, no.
to there's two ways to internalize your rant. One was with apathy, one is with empathy. Which route do you
Hmm.
think I'm going to take?
You're gonna go down empathy route.
Exactly. So my question to that rant is, the struggle that you have with art, the struggle that you have with connection with society, the struggle that you have with making it, the struggle that you have with social validation, getting inside the club, staying outside the club, all this stuff, everything that you said. Like, what does Trent want?
Oh, this is awesome. Well, I'm just thinking of this idea in the creator economy, but I need a sign spinner outside the front of the club selling uh, selling content outside of the club and inside of the club. Obviously, infrastructure is going to permit that I could sell more inside the club because if I'm selling outside the club, the gatekeepers. This is where the gatekeepers turn against you. If you're inside the club, they'll beat you down saying that you don't have the permit to sell on the sidewalk or you can't live on the sidewalk because you can't be homeless and you can't be
So
homed at the same
I
time.
will. I'll ask again. What does Trent want?
Well, I mean, my TikTok algorithm would say that I want, you know, to be with beautiful women, that I want to drive fast cars, that I want to own real estate, that I want to, because I'm just trying to read my what they think I want, and then those are very very
That's
those I think
this.
are the
That's
little
not what
boy's
I
dreams. I think we
asked.
talked about. Hold on. I think that we've talked about this before, where you
Oh, we
know
always get back to
that
this. We
Dan
always get back to
Dan
this.
Bilzerian lives oh my god, how am I saying this? Little Dan Bilzerian Dan Bilzerian lives the little boy's dream of flying in helicopters, being around a bunch of women on yachts and all of these different things. Then the new Dan Bilzerian is this Andrew Tate character who's like a badass who kicks people in the head and beats people up, but also has a bunch of women. Also is like somehow now Muslim or something like that. I don't know. You know, embodies based on what he says, like this whole ninja character that's like a CIA agent, like all that crap. I don't know because what I'm being sold that I want is challenging compared to what is available. And I would much rather know what the market is. Can I buy this? If I buy this, am I going to be shit out of luck, broke again? Am I going to buy this stupid NFT and be, and I got scammed? Am I going to be out $1 billion? What's going to be my situation? Because currently, right now, what my situation is, I bought into a bunch of scams, not necessarily scams, but bad information because at the time it was held up by society to be good information. Turning around, I don't know, somehow that at the top it negatively impacted somebody's economic situation. So then the top decided to like pivot and structure their business against the people who were competing to, empower the people of the underground scene. So for me, I can't answer this question directly without saying like, I'm not salivating at beautiful women. I'm not salivating at a Ferrari. I am Pavlov's dog. You introduced me something nice, I will salivate at it. You take it away from me and then tell me you're going to feed me a vegan burger, I'm going to have to eat that burger. But it's not real. It's not tangible. It's not authentic. It's like these
When I hear this,
TikToks.
when I hear this, it sounds like you're a crisis out of capitalism. This little
I hear that all
Pinocchio
the time.
boy,
I do hear
this
that
little
time. I hear
Pinocchio
that all the
boy
time.
who just wants to be real because there's a premium on
Yeah,
real
I hear it all the time. Yeah, I hear that all the
instead
time.
of just embracing magic, right?
Hmm.
Pinocchio was a magical
embracing
boy
embracing embracing magic.
and just embracing magic. That Pinocchio was alive. He could have just celebrated life, but he wanted to be a real boy because then he'd be loved for real. And that's capitalism, man. Um, when I ask what you want, I don't mean what do you want to buy, what do you want to own. I told my son yesterday, gosh, this kid was being really
I don't think
needy.
existence, at least in present day, doesn't exist without ownership. It doesn't. Activity does not exist without currency. Currency is the flow of activity. That's why it's currency, like the
I
current
think I think that's
the
the
system.
I think what you just said. There's no without currency. Um, I think that's the slave mentality of if you get out of the house and you run outside, we gonna get you. There's nothing outside. That's the Truman Show shit where you don't want to go out. Stay here.
Man,
Stay here and want and desire, and we'll take care of you and we'll keep feeding you. That is the slave shit. When really everything that you want, desire, and wish to own is internal. It's inside on some David Goggins shit, right? Like in that way of ownership, extreme ownership. You're shaking your head.
man, I do
This is
value
like
my
the
art.
this
No,
is
hold
the
on, hold on,
battle.
hold on,
This is
hold
the
on, hold on, hold on,
battle.
hold on. But it's true. Like you're right. You're right. You're right. The emotional state of stability is internal, right? Um, you don't need a Ferrari to make you happy. But a Ferrari can bring happiness. You don't need it, but it can. And a lot
It
of people
also
say
it also cannot on that
right, but
notion.
um so the thing, but your kidneys can't bring you happiness either. So I
Your
mean,
kidneys do bring you happiness.
they don't need to.
If your
They
kidneys fail,
cannot as well.
if your
Like they
kidneys fail,
cannot.
you're gonna, you're not gonna be happy, right?
Well, you're not going to be happy, but that doesn't
But
mean it
but
doesn't
I'm happy right now because
that
my
they
kidneys,
bring you happiness.
my kidneys are tip top right now. I am happy. I am happy. I am happy.
Yeah, but you would be happy. You would be equally as happy if a 3D printer could make you a new set of new set of kidneys. Like your kidneys do not bring you happiness.
When
Kidneys, the idea of having kidneys, bring you happiness.
when I asked what do you want,
Yeah.
like it wasn't what do you want to buy that will make you happy, like a Ferrari. That's not what I meant.
No, no, no. But I know. But what you're leaving out is you buy it for the experience. You don't buy it for the commodity. You buy it for the quest that leads to a reward, that then leads to leveling up, which then leads to being perceived as, uh, or at least even acknowledged existence. If you have no acknowledgement of existence other than your own acknowledgement of existence, the only way that works, the only way that works is if you can basically figure out a way, and this is my situation for certain, and even you've found this in a different way. I think this is anybody as an individual has to find some support system that is going to step in and be the puzzle piece that fits the bigger picture, right? You can't do it. No one is able to go off the grid and live on their own in the current way and then get that um, internal, satisfaction of the limbic system, and also be able to reach enlightenment through the the sacral system, and then also be at the point at which they're, cognitively collecting data and being, intelligent as an individual, contributing back to the species without, ingesting some form of information through via any form of content, books, television, the radio, whatever the case may be, and filling up their frontal lobe, right, of just information. And then yeah, but I think that we're all, I do think there is a sense of information overload, right? So it gets to the point, where for me, if I was a good little slave, I would just be like, "Oh, I love beautiful women. I love cars, and that's all I do. I've got a big garage. It's got all my fancy cars in it." But for me, I don't see the altruistic nature of self-aggrandizing to those things being enough for me for happiness as an individual. I do get what you're saying. What is that? Um, what you're asking, I should say. What is it internally that you do meditation, pondering about life's existence, and what it is that as someone, um, how can you basically woo saw your way into a happiness vibration, and then from there on the scale or spectrum of happiness, from sadness, from extreme sadness to extreme happiness, how can you do that without commodities, without purchasing into the subscription system of America? Like, I mean, you just leave this, you get to a point at which you either get a passport, which allows you to, travel the world, see the beautiful, what is it, the seven wonders of the world or whatever it is, or you go crazy, like a lot of people do. They become, what is it called? Bunkers? No, that's not it. Dwellers? No, that's not it. What the heck is it? Uh,
Squatters.
no, no, no. The people who go into bunkers and they have a bunch of stockpiled food.
Hoarders.
Do- doomers? No,
Oh yeah, like
doomsday preppers, preppers,
doomsday preppers. Yeah.
preppers. You end up being a prepper, and you either stay on the grid in America or you crush your cell phones. You steal a cell phone that's already activated from someone else, and you have 15 seconds to use the phone to call someone voice modulator, like you sent me on TikTok, to
Hmm.
then tell your family that you're leaving the grid, that you're going into outer space, or whatever the case may be. I mean, like, we're at this point we're just scripting a science fiction movie, because in reality, I do not believe anybody is truly happy if you introduce something into their lives that destabilizes their happiness, whether that be illicit drugs or an individual that doesn't have the best interest for that individual in mind. It can disrupt their equilibrium, and then they end up being in a different state, and that different state ends up them being in a different vibration, which means then their happiness is at stake again. So it doesn't matter whether you find happiness as an individual. You have to find happiness uh, within the system, and the current system is what it is. And then at the end of the day, you don't get struck down by God, you know, via acts of God. Like, that's those are the challenges that I think people are facing today. You know, and then, your question, uh, it is personal, but I don't like to just I don't think that the value for people um is going to be my plight, the struggles that I go through, because I have to go around and see what's so adjacent to my problems to be like, where's the value? Because no one is going through the same thing that I'm going through. No one's going through the same thing Knives is going through. If it was, that's the craziest, you know, if there was another person that looked like me, talked like me, acted like me, in this world and created the same content as me, and then I met that individual, it would be like multiverse type stuff, right? So that doesn't exist. But yeah, I mean, the things that I want, I think, are aligned with what TikTok is telling me. Um, I just, I, I have a feeling that it's not everything. You know, it's not everything. I don't think I just want, um, a beautiful partner in the form of a woman, if I put it into politically correct terminology. I don't think I want a gas guzzling Ferrari that burns fossil fuels to kill the world. I don't think I just want that. I don't think, I have ideas in my head that are counterintuitive to what the algorithm thinks that I desire, right? Um, and I think that uh, I am very challenged by my limbic system because I and my motor system, because my limbic system will tell my fingers to like a photo or like a video or something like that, which is maybe counterintuitive to programming the algorithm to do what I want it to do. And we've had this conversation several times before where we talk about like, oh, well, you just haven't trained your algorithm. No, 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 no. I'm just improperly training it, or I don't know how to train it. It's like a dog, right? You get a pet and you just can't potty train it, so you have to hire someone to do that for you. Now that's not for the creator economy, but I do think it is um, I think it'll be something, a service eventually that you can buy someone to train your algorithm for you, an expert algorithm trainer. um, and well, I wonder what people struggle with the most in forms of overindulgence and and information overload. And what at what point do they are they overwhelmed with anxiety to where they're lethargic and unable to push past the gatekeepers that are holding them down, because society hasn't made a change in its perspective um, of what true value is. So they're obstructing true value from um, from seeing from being seen at the same scale as false values, such as the Kanye West's, Donald Trump's, even to a degree Elon Musk's, whereas the marketplace of ideas is not being, it's not fair value, it's it's contrived value, or propagated value based on uh, the leading authority of the world.
How do you define value? You're talking about true value. Like, how do you define value? And in what context are you saying it?
This I think this is where I'm disappointed that crypto went so wrong, or is going wrong right now, and that true democratization does not exist outside of the decentralized autonomous organization and the what you call it, oh god, um, proof of participation, proof of participation, basically. The blockchain is infallible into the sense that there is a record for every action that's taken on the blockchain. So there's no voting twice. No one can vote twice. And if they do vote twice through some mechanism, let's say they have two wallets, there's um, there's a counterbalance system that operates to um, to provide equal weighting to votes that are placed throughout the system. So when it comes to true value, it should be that which is 51% or more of the population than the latter half of the 49%. So it's whatever percent value that is believed to be true um, mathematically. Now, that's the only way that I can think of it of true value being consistent, and that at the at the end of the day, true value would be based on some logical, non-emotional, statistical conclusion. That's it. The emotional component of this is where it's really challenging, because I'm not, whether I don't have enough estrogen in my system is not the point here. It's how does emotional behaviors lead to the greater good and the better stability of the human race towards our prevention of the inevitable catastrophe of an asteroid or global war, nuclear fallout, like all of these things that are a macro human existence problem that emotions are obstructing us from alleviating or mitigating the risks that we have to a global catastrophe.
I asked OpenAI or
Mm-hmm.
ChatGPT to define true value in the business sense.
Mm-hmm.
It is the objective or unbiased estimation of the actual value of something as opposed to its perceived value or market price. So it's about
Yeah.
objectivity.
Yeah, and emotions cannot be attributed to this because that's the purest form of bias.
So some of the factors to take into are the company's financial health, competitive position, and potential for growth. That's like this is in the context of like valuation.
Well, yeah, and you posed the question in
In
the
the
form of
business in the
economics.
in the business sense, yeah.
Well, then switch that up and put it into into the sense of true value of um, emotional well-being. Because how do you take a logical approach to emotions? I mean, Jocko Willink, doesn't he talk about that? I try to kind of
In
embody that.
in terms of emotional well-being, true value refers to the inherent worth and value that a person places on themselves and their own feelings and experiences. It's the recognition that one's own emotions and feelings are valid and deserve to be respected and valued regardless of external circumstances or other people's opinions. Having a sense of true value in terms of emotional well-being can be an important aspect of self-esteem and self-worth. It can involve acknowledging and accepting one's own emotions, even if they're negative and difficult, and treating oneself with compassion and care. It can also involve setting healthy boundaries and not allowing others to diminish and invalidate one's own feelings.
I don't think that's even possible.
It's possible.
I don't think that's even
I fuck
possible.
with it. I fuck with it.
I mean, I guess if you locked yourself in a padded room and never spoke
Just
to
takes
anyone
maturity,
ever
man.
again,
Just takes maturity. Just takes maturity.
I don't think that that's maturity. I find that extremely problematic and I don't think that you
Let me finish it. Let me
necessarily
finish it.
embody
Let me
this,
finish
so,
it.
yeah.
Let me finish it. Developing a sense of true value in terms of emotional well being can be an ongoing process and may involve seeking support from others, such as therapists or trusted friends or family members, or engaging in activities that promote self care and self compassion. Can also involve challenging negative self perceptions and learning to value and respect one's self as a unique and valuable individual.
So so challenging, very
It's
challenging because
challenging,
if you
but
start,
isn't that the challenge of life? To like,
well, that's
if
what
you were to ask
I was
me,
saying
if you were
earlier.
to ask me, Knives, if you were to ask me 90 minutes ago, what do you want? My
Uh huh.
answer would probably be, I want to like myself.
Uh huh.
It's pretty simple. It's challenging for a variety of factors that the AI even acknowledged. You know, it is, and it's an ongoing process that requires therapy, which I have, which requires
Yeah.
the openness of others, self worth, which I've constantly been working on. That's what I want. Money can't necessarily buy it per se, because if you're an arrogant piece of shit and you win the lottery, you're a rich, arrogant piece of shit now, right? And
Well, not necessarily.
the
From day
science backs
one.
that up. The science backs that up. That 6 months down the line, you're still the same. You're still revolving around the same top 10 emotions that's
Mm.
your cruising altitude, even if you win the lottery. Science, the science backs that up. So, anyways, that's just if you were to ask me what I want, I wouldn't
Mm.
go on a capitalistic diatribe, but I understand the framework. I do. Um, I just wanted to know because so much of what we're talking about as creators, our compass points north, and it stems from what do we want? Why are we creators? What do we want out of this? What do we hope to gain? And how can we hope to attain our dreams? Want. Let's start with the want. Let's start with a goal. Let's start with a desire, right? Um, and that is kind of where I was coming from. But I see where you took that.
Mm. Well, so I think I need to sort of, I need to kind of reel this back in a little bit because what's interesting about what you said there is like every single time that a video is created, it is an introduction to a new audience.
Of course.
And I think I inherently or I have developed a way of doing things where I'm I'm trying to tell people who Trent Knox is all the time, and I fail to do it every time. So it's like I think I've developed some strategy in doing that, but in realistically, you know, it fails every single time. And so as to say that, it's like, oh, I'm thinking of like, well, the framework for what you just said, we need to go back and say, who is Knives Monroe? We need to set foundation every single time, and it's frustrating because I feel like, you know, um, especially in this day and age where it's like, well, you either have to hop on this bullet train now while it's flying, or, I it must have been a mistake in that when I started creating content online, I didn't do a good job of illustrating, myself, but I didn't know who I was. I still don't know who I am today, and maybe you're more self-actualized in that way, that you know who you are as an individual and your value. Um, I don't, or it is I do know, but I just completely disagree with the constraints that are put on what society has stated that I am and what I should be, because I don't think that we live in Russia or another country where we don't get to choose who we want to be, right? I don't think we live in a socialist state where it's you that society gets to determine whether you get to be a doctor or not. I think you have the right, if you do win the lottery, to just decide that you want to commit your life to philanthropy and do good upon everyone in the world. Maybe the science doesn't show that. Maybe the statistics don't show it, but I think there is an opportunity for an anomaly, Neo of the Matrix, to correct the system. That's what I think. But like I said, I am subject to my algorithm that tells me I want other things than I think. I believe that there is a Jesus Christ. I believe that there is a God. I think that there is a way out of the. I don't think that you're just. I don't think you're just a number. I don't know though. I don't know. I don't know. And and that's the end of the day. It's like I don't know. I just we can make $10 in the creator economy, but this $10 bears no meaning without the words that are written on it. If you take God off of this dollar, does it exist anymore? If you take uh, the United States of
Is
America
God
away
on
from this
ETH?
on Ethereum, well, no, but
Well, there's
well,
value on it, right?
but no, hold on. So if we're talking from a Christian standpoint, then yes, it does exist, even in Ethereum, and even in Ether 2.0, and in everything, because that is if its source code is the deity that you believe in, the source, God, Neo, Jesus, um, but I'm saying that this tangible aspect of reality is tangible, whereas ETH is intangible or not tangible. You cannot hold an ETH, and that's the reality that is the plight of digital currency, because um, when it comes to like what is it, the FTX situation, though there was no real monetary value in the alignment between the Bitcoin held by FTX as well as the true monetary value held to against the the token, their exchange token, which I can't fucking remember, FTT or whatever it was. So the they basically were just cooking the books, saying that it had a dollar value, but without the dollar, those things don't exist, because then you can't take it off of you can well, within network you obviously could, but the largest network currently is definitely the US dollar, USD, right? And so with this network of paper, it is crazy that, and now I'm going down a tangent, small tangent here, that there's more numerical currency circulation than print currency, and that that has had a contributing factor to the overall U.S. debt clock, as well as the inflation year over year, uh, and also the global housing market. But it is still something that we can trust, that if we go to a foreign exchange, a forex system in China, in Japan, in Russia, no matter where you are, the US dollar still is accepted, converted, and applicable to the systems that they are in, except maybe one of those countries like what was the country, Venezuela, that like basically devalued their currency to nothing, and then basically the thing that only exists in their country is the U.S. dollar. So effectively, I don't know that whole situation, but that's very problematic for them. But back to the whole point at hand is like, if you're not making these, well, it disappeared. If you're not making these in the creator economy, you are not a part of the economy. You know?
Yes, sir.
So the plight is the real plight, and the part that almost makes me want to tear up is that too many content creators are being exploited for their creativity and their artistry by sticking their heads and saying that art has some sort of intrinsic value, that it has some sort of emotional relation to that. Oh, if I just make one more painting, and if I just use my last dollar to buy this canvas and make this piece of art, and then you're out on the street, homeless, bum, like loser, like Aunt Tate says that you're a brokey with no opportunities in life, and you're a fat lard that just sits and eats Doritos on a couch, right? Doesn't matter if you're male or female doing it. Maybe more women are doing that these days than men. That might just be statistically true.
Oh man, there's a lot. I don't know what to say to that. But
Well,
let me ask you. Go ahead.
what you could contribute is like
I
what you
don't.
could
I don't.
contribute
I
is
don't see things the same way you see things.
well, you have to do.
Even
You
on my
have to do.
hardest day, even my
You
hardest
have to
day of
do, right?
life, I have to do.
Fundamentally it is action that's taken, and it
Oh, you have
and
to
this is
do.
some
Right. I got you.
right. So this is isn't this a Tony Robbins thing? Massive action. You have to take
Yeah.
massive action,
Yeah.
right? And so
I do.
like
Yeah.
those gatekeepers, you have to take massive action against them. That's the only way to do it. And you're going to end up some people are going to end up doing it the wrong way, trying to be U.S. nationals, driving around with fake plates and, telling police officers that I have the right to do this and that all of that shit. You have to play the game. You have to play your role, but it's never clear as to what your role is unless you have a strong mentor, strong coach, someone of authority already in the system guiding you along the way, right? I don't have that. I have been against the system, fighting the system, trying to break through gatekeepers, unlocking doors that shouldn't be unlocked for content creators in ways that, maybe I'll go to jail for.
I would say let's not fight the system.
You have to.
This is like I said, I don't see things the way you see things. Like fundamentally.
Well, let me hear the like the argument how the system can just take care of you and
I
just
don't look at things in that framework either. Like
well, you
I
have to
don't.
look at it some way. So how do you look at it?
America is, and I'm going to choose my words very wisely. The pursuit of happiness is guaranteed in America. It's in the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
Not happiness. Not happiness. Happiness isn't guaranteed in America. It's the pursuit. I pursue. That's how I see shit. If you're born in a different country and you don't have that in your constitution, I think it sucks. And if I had to play the slot machine from scratch again, I'd want to play in this game.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, parenthetically, I'd want to play in this system again. In this solar system again. It's sick.
Sure.
At this time of the raddest time as a human being in this country, It's fucking rad. Shit, dude. I remember taking road trips without GPS. Like that shit sucked.
Yeah,
That shit
yeah.
sucked. Like it's the raddest time. I remember
Well,
when
you
the
have to
first
have some form of direction, right? So
right.
even now,
Yes. But I much prefer now. So
so
even
it's
when
interesting. You know, you say, well, happiness is not guaranteed to an individual. You're right. Pursuit of happiness, right? That's the way that the word is formulated. But happiness has to be guaranteed. That's the thing. The definition of
says
happiness,
who
the word happiness.
says
Well, you
who.
can't pursue happiness if it doesn't exist.
I didn't say it
If
didn't
happiness
exist.
doesn't exist, well, someone has to guarantee that happiness exists for there to be a pursuit of happiness.
There are
And I
other
don't know who
countries.
that is
There
that
are other
pursues
countries where I'm sure there's not
establishes
even a
that.
word for happiness.
That could be.
I'm sure. I'm sure in North Korea there is no ideology of the pursuit of happiness, let alone happiness.
I think there is a
There's only
formulation,
servitude.
right? There's a formulation that is maybe indoctrinated into them as to what that means, and I think in the United States or globally, and let's not just say that, because I think that I'm not speaking when I speak about power. I'm not talking about the United States as being not a player in the globalist sense. I mean, China and Russia are global superpowers, and I believe actually China probably ranks as number one global superpower at this time. Now, I it is interesting to start thinking about China, and in the sense of freedom, and what freedom means, because I think that freedom in the United States has been um, obfuscated, and that we are still. I think that freedom today is less defined, and we are still trying to figure out what that is today.
Dude, I think in this country freedom is I can choose to play the game how I want from these 32 different ways.
Hmm.
That's freedom.
Well, I don't think everyone has the freedom to know what those 32 different ways is. And that means that
Okay. Okay.
it's not
Okay. But
necessarily
do you?
freedom. Oh, I don't think so. No, I don't. I don't think I have access to every single way, which means I don't
You have
truly have
more
freedom.
access ever in your ancestry than ever before.
I mean, this gets very personal, man. At this point, we're getting into how
Bro,
do
I think
we
about the
lose?
access my family had just 2 generations ago. They didn't have shit.
Right. Well,
Go
yeah, that's
back
true.
go back 8 generations. Oh my god, they did not have fucking hot water. Just 3 generations ago. But it's just wild what we have. It's wild what we're talking about. It's so philosophical and existential that I think it gets us off course.
Well, isn't that the purpose of the economy? Is to make a commodity based off of your beliefs that other people attribute that they believe in what you have to offer, so they make a purchasing decision.
It doesn't have to be a belief. It could just be a pot. Here's this pot. You put stuff in it. Oh, I need
Yeah,
one of those.
that seems really. I mean,
It's true though.
oh man, that seems really. What's the word for it? Um,
Utilitarian?
no, whimsical.
I just think it's true, man.
People just make
Like
purchasing
you
decisions on a whim without
No,
like
I think it's based on
fundamentally
function.
understanding what they're going
I
to
don't
be
need to
purchasing.
know I don't need to know the beliefs of Funyuns to make a purchase.
Man, I
I
think that
don't.
that's how we got to slavery, without knowing that, without being heavily invested in what we're doing, contributed to the fact that, oh, well, I just needed some slaves, so I
So
bought some
so
slaves.
I on some slave shit, and I do think we need to wrap up here.
Yeah.
I commissioned an art piece.
Hmm.
I needed a poster for my movie.
Hmm.
So I commissioned it, and it went out to the world, and 50 designers all contributed something, and I had to pick who was going to be the winner.
Mm-hmm.
And I did, and I picked the winner.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy who won it, I did not question what his beliefs were, and I didn't ask what they were, and he didn't ask what mine were. And we still had a very healthy transaction where this fool got paid.
Mm-hmm.
I say fool, but I mean in the from my culture sense, like this fool got
Mm-hmm.
paid. This
Mm-hmm.
cat got paid. Not he's not a fool. He's a tremendously talented individual who's mad under and won $400 for a fucking poster. That was a
Yeah.
transaction. I had a need. He had a skill. We transacted. That's the
Mm-hmm.
game. It's all about deals. In this capitalistic fucking black and white binary ass motherfucking world, it's all about deals.
Mm-hmm.
We made a deal, and now there's a connection where we might work together again in the future. We might never cross paths ever again, but we always have that poster.
Yeah, that's the whimsical aspect. You might win again. You might pull the lottery, uh, pull the pull the slot machine, and you might win again. You might win again.
There's a slot machine component to it, but there's also a meritocracy component to it as well. The best design won.
Oh, well, yeah.
There was an
That's
assignment, and this motherfucker understood the assignment and killed it. Um, yeah. So my brother just messaged me right now about it because I sent him the poster. He's like, "Did you make this?"
yeah.
I'm like, I didn't make it, but I commissioned it.
Well, since you said since you brought it up, um, what's the delivery? How can people watch this film?
They can't,
When can
not
people
yet.
watch this
Nobody can
film?
watch it right now. It's submitted to like 15 film festivals. We got denied one from Austin already. I don't want to say the film festival, although it's pretty obvious
South
if
by
you're.
Southwest.
No, 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 no. A different one. One for indie
Oh, yeah.
artists, which you'd think um, that we would have won that one, but maybe it was a late submission. I don't know, but so once it goes through the film festival route, then we'll promote it and all that stuff. But just because I don't think these movies can be like publicly released just yet. We still have yet to find a festival that we're gonna premiere our movie at, right? So like that'll be the premiere. But it's done, and I'm tired of spending money on it. So if anybody wants to support me, they can just support indiedarlings.net and um, help me make some money to make the next one. That's really it. If people really give a fuck,
Right.
um, there's that. Yeah, but I'm not here to really like promote that per se, but I'm very proud of that picture, and it's super fun, and glad I got to make it, and most importantly, I'm glad I got to make my friends' kind of vision come true.
Awesome. And then in the description, in the caption, whatever you want to call it, you can find a link to booking a free consultation with this man right here, Knives Monroe. Or if you're looking for a different direction, maybe Claire does some consultations as well,
That's right.
um,
That's
and
right.
get a different perspective of what the Indie Darlings creative studio does over there. And I think they might be starting to open up their studio for potential clients. So if you are looking to do a podcast, all that, content creation, headshots, just looking to do a little brainstorming, creative world and whatnot, they are open for business. So hit them up and see what they've got going on. But this is another one of those episodes, of course, it sounds like. And we'll catch you on the next broadcast.